The stat screen is intimacy. The stat screen is private. This is technically true. Your overlay is yours. No one sees your numbers without your deliberate action to share them. The integration doesn't broadcast your stats to the room. What it does is considerably more complicated. Sharing your stat screen requires a deliberate two-step action. You choose to share. The recipient chooses to accept. Both consents are recorded. The system doesn't permit passive disclosure. If someone is seeing your numbers, it's because you decided to let them. What you are deciding to let them see is this: 6 attributes that reflect every meaningful choice you have made over years of integration engagement. The allocation decisions you made at each level, the stats you invested and the ones you let sit. Your designation rank, which is the system's assessment of how fully you have actually become what it named you. Your skill slots, which skills you currently run, and the condition of them. Your unspent point pool, if you have one. The record of every level you've gained and haven't yet acted on, sitting there as an annotated history of ambivalence. Showing someone your stat screen is the most precise self-disclosure available in the integration era. More accurate than anything you could say about yourself. Harder to edit. The screen doesn't reflect the version of yourself you've decided to present. It reflects what the system has been watching. In most civilian contexts, sharing your stats is rare and marks something. The first person to show their screen in a negotiation is taking a risk that has no pre-integration equivalent. Not because the numbers might be bad, because the act of showing says, I am willing to be known to you in a way that cannot be walked back. Once you've seen someone's full overlay, you have seen something they could not unsee about themselves. The asymmetry, if they don't reciprocate, is significant. In a professional context, the stat share is more common, but rarely casual. Military units operate with mandatory disclosure to command. The institution needs to know what it has. In those contexts, the coerced share, show me your screen or you don't work here, is technically a form of workplace coercion, with varying legal status across jurisdictions. Whether anyone in a military structure is in a position to refuse is a different question. In a personal relationship, showing your full overlay is something else entirely. It is closer to showing someone every draft of every journal entry you have ever kept, annotated with a running score of what each draft cost you. Some people never do it, not for ideological reasons, not because they're purist, because their stat screen contains something they have chosen not to explain to anyone, and the screen would require the explanation. 2 people with high echo reading each other's overlay is not a stat transaction. It is a different kind of event. Echo measures depth of social entanglement, the richness of a person's integration with the systems and people around them. At high levels, echo makes the overlay's ambient data denser. More information available, more connection tracked, more sense of the network that runs through you. When 2 high echo individuals share their screens, they are not sharing numbers. They are sharing something the system has been building since they first engaged with it, a record of every meaningful connection the system registered. The system doesn't describe intimacy. It can't. What it does is accumulate the evidence of it, and then, if you choose, display it. There is a category of person in the integration era who has never shown their screen to anyone. Some of them are purist in the ideological sense. They reject the system's claim to define them. But not all. Some keep their overlay dark for the same reason people have kept journals they never share. The numbers contain a version of themselves they haven't decided what to do with yet. At Signal 38, if you're reading this room, you can identify those people. They have a particular quality of self-containment that goes beyond the usual social management of stat disclosure. They are not performing privacy. They are living in it. What they're protecting varies. The unspent point pool of someone who has leveled steadily for 11 years and allocated nothing because allocating would be a choice, and the choice would be permanent. The stats that came out wrong. Not bad exactly, but not what they expected of themselves, not what the designation implied they'd be. The designation rank that hasn't moved in years, because the system is waiting for something they haven't been willing to do. The screen holds all of it. Some people decide, quite deliberately, that no one gets to see. Here is the thing no adult in the integration era has had to explain to a child. Because children born in the integration era don't require the explanation, the overlay is always on. There has never been a moment without it. For the first cohort born after Integration Day, they did not receive it as an intrusion or a revelation. They received it as the world. Their developmental stat baseline was assessed at around 22 months, before they had language for it, before they could have an opinion about it. Their designation came through when they were approximately 5 years old, assigned by a system that had been watching them since before they could walk. Their stat screen is not a measurement of who they became. It is the only autobiography they have ever had. What it means to grow up entirely inside the system's observation is something adults can theorize about from the outside. The children who are now teenagers and young adults in the present of the integration era are the ones living it. They don't experience the overlay as something that was done to them. They experience it the way everyone experiences the language they grew up speaking, as the structure through which thought itself moves. The adults who remember the before, who know what it felt like to have a self the system wasn't measuring, are watching a generation for whom that experience is a hypothetical. Whether what those children have is more or less than what came before isn't settled. The children have the full depth of the system's record. They have never had a day the system didn't see. What they don't have is the before. Showing someone your stat screen is the most honest thing the integration permits. It is also one of the few forms of self-disclosure the system can't verify for you. The screen is accurate. The conversation about what it means is entirely yours. The stories are where these stakes become personal. Join today to read them. The Integration Era is a science fiction series about a world remade by an alien system nobody asked for. You've been listening to The Integration Era. Stories by Charlie Foret. All content is copyright 2026 by Charlie Foret. All rights reserved. Voices produced by Speechify. New stories, world-building deep dives, character dossiers, and more are available now at integrationera.com. Subscribe to get notified when the next story drops. The system is watching. You might as well keep up.